Welcome to today's 3-Minute Halacha. Previously, we learned that women have the same obligation to recite Kiddush on Friday night as men. It's based on a principle of Kol Sheyeshno B'Shmira Yeshno B'Schira, that just as women have an obligation to observe Shabbat, they also have the obligation to remember Shabbat to recite Kiddush. Based on this, the Shulchan Aruch and Siman Reish Ayin Aleph Sif Bet rules that there's nothing to prevent a woman from reciting Kiddush on behalf of a man, since the obligation is identical for both women and men. But is it identical? The problem arises if a person davens Mariv, because the central blessing in the Mariv on Friday night concludes with the words Mekadesh Shabbat, who sanctifies Shabbat. And therefore, the Magen Avraham rules that anyone who already recited Mariv has fulfilled his biblical obligation to sanctify Shabbat, and the Kiddush over the wine is only rabbinic in nature at that point. Therefore, the Dagul Mervava rules that it's actually preferable for a woman who didn't daven Mariv to recite Kiddush for her husband or another man who did recite Mariv. But the Mishnah Berurah rejects this position of the Magen Avraham, first of all stating that there needs to be kavanah, a specific intent to fulfill a mitzvah, and when you say Shmona Esrei on Friday night Mariv, you don't have the intent of fulfilling the obligation of Kiddush. And in the Bir Halacha, the Mishnah Berurah adds that some say that there's a requirement to have wine for Kiddush, and therefore you don't have wine when you're saying the Amidah, and therefore you didn't fulfill it. And also Kiddush requires a mention of Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim, of the Exodus, and that's not found in the Amidah prayer either. And as a result, he rejects the position of the Magen Avraham. Practically, that is the position. And even one more step, that even if we agreed with the Magen Avraham, the Chaye Adam rules that a husband can still recite Kiddush for his wife, even though her obligation may be biblical and his rabbinic, because of the principle of Arevut, the interconnectedness of all Jews, which means that if the wife has an obligation, so does her husband. And therefore, even according to the Magen Avraham, we would be able to recite Kiddush, the man could do it. And which is the prevalent custom today, that the husband recites Kiddush on his wife's behalf, even if he said the evening Amidah and she did not. And it's customary at the same time that women light Shabbat candles on behalf of the husband. Even though it's not halachically necessary, so too the husband recites Kiddush on behalf of his wife, even though it may not be halachically necessary.